We are broadcasting live. I think it's pretty early in the morning. If you don't know, we actually record these things at 6 a.m. Mountain Time. And currently 6 a.m. Mountain Time means it's dark outside. A little bit different than 6 months from now when it'll be bright outside. But anyhow, so we are awake. If you don't know who I am, you're not reading above or below the screen, but my name is Kurt Kim Samuels. I am the Intimacy Incubator, and I love bringing people together to have key conversations. I have these uplift conversations every week. Every other week it's kind of male kind of directed topics, and every other week it's female directed topics. So this week it's UpliftHer. And speaking of her, I have a her on the screen here on the line today. One of my favorite hers in the world. One of my peeps. One of my tribe. One of the people I believe in specifically. And I'd like to introduce you all. If you don't know, she's been on UpliftHer before, but her name is the one, the only Amber Schoenrock. How you doing, young lady?
Good morning. Doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Are you awake?
I am. We're getting there.
We're getting there. I am kind of not. I have my big old mug, old coffee right here. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But it is definitely early. But early is good though. Early is good. Gets us going. So we've had you on before, and you know, as usual. I mean, I really don't have any script, although we always kind of have a question that we work off of, and that question somehow gets us through a 20 to 30 minute conversation every time. So it kind of works out that way. The question this week is there a place for women in the business world today? Now, what do you do for a profession?
So professionally, I work with people and teach them how money works, and helping them to save for whatever goals that they have and how to earn more income. I teach people how to be business owners as well.
Wow. Okay. So is that considered, generally speaking, in what most of us know as the financial services industry or something like that? Or
Yes.
I mean, what does that terminology even mean?
Yes. Yeah. So financial services, saving for retirement, college, having tax-free retirements, that sort of thing.
And I mean, how do you do that? I mean, in terms of, do you sit down at somebody's table, or do you, I mean, what does that look like when you actually meet with somebody that's a client?
Yeah, it's either at the table or via Zoom. Thanks to technology, we don't necessarily have to drive anywhere these days. I have offices in Arizona as well, and so sometimes I hop on a flight, but a lot of times I just do it remotely. But sitting down together, getting to know what your goals and dreams are, finding out where you're at financially and where you want to go, and then putting a bridge program together to help you achieve those goals.
Now, I mean, what if someone says, man, I don't have any money to consider, retirement or anything like that. I mean, can you help people kind of figure out where they could find, what they need resource-wise to invest in their future?
Yeah, absolutely. And most people probably feel like that, honestly. Unfortunately, that's the state of our country, and this in Colorado is a lot of people are not making that much money, and so they feel like they don't have anything to start with. So I help them explore that, and I do so on a complimentary basis with all my clients, regardless of net worth. And so just depending on what their situation is, maybe we just go through their budget a little bit more with a fine-tooth comb. Interesting thing though, people who are basically in poverty and people who are high net worth, all of them budget their income almost to a penny. And wow. Then it's the middle people, in between, who don't necessarily know where their money's going. So,
wow. Now, so this industry that you're in, which is kind of ironic. So we're recording this on November 21st, 2018. It sounds like yesterday, November 20th, was a very interesting day in terms of our economy and stock market.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that something that, I mean, is that your world also? I mean, that's
Yeah.
something people call you about?
It is, and depending on, again, somebody's situation, everything's very customized to their situation. You know, some people don't want to lose anything, and so that's a conversation that we have. A lot of people moving into their retirement or very close to retiring, we need to help them protect the gains that they've already had. And you know, a lot of my clients that are in that situation, we didn't have to have a conversation because their retirement's guaranteed, and we're not worried about anything. So
Wow. Not worried about anything sounds like a good place to be.
yeah, yeah,
Just
they sleep pretty well.
just saying. I mean, it sounds good when you don't have to freak out. And would you consider your industry to be a male dominated industry in terms of profession?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And so you're not a male and you're in a male dominated industry. And this question kind of intrigues me, or this topic, because I almost wonder, just kind of as we look at our culture over the past, year or two, and I mean, it seems like, women have kind of, if we look at different industries, whether it be the entertainment industry or just different parts of corporate America, it seems like women have had kind of almost a difficult road in terms of, just stepping in and having the opportunity to excel and to achieve, and whether it's glass ceilings or whether it's some kind of something holding them back. You being in a male dominated industry in terms of profession, in terms of population, people that work in that industry. I mean, do you think it's possible that a woman could be successful today in even an industry that's primarily dominated by men?
Hmm. Yeah, I not only think in male-dominated industries do women play a huge part, but across the board, women, I think, really are becoming more of a dominant force in the workforce. And in my industry, when you think of a financial advisor, a financial planner, or anything like that, I personally think of an older Caucasian male. And I think most people would agree with that's traditionally what things have looked like in that industry. But women are quickly becoming more and more prevalent, especially in financial services. And I think part of the limitations that people experience as being a woman is, some of it just comes down to biology. And we end up, we have the babies, we take care of our parents, we take care of the kids. And with that, we end up taking off more time away from work. And especially in leadership roles, most corporations, because they're so profit driven, want somebody who will be there 24/7. And most women say, no, there needs to be balance. And what I get excited about is because men crave that balance as well. And so as more and more women come into the workforce and they don't settle in saying, no, I deserve the position, we can help change that culture overall, and saying that, yes, the more profitable your organization is, I personally think depends on how you are treating your employees or what opportunities they have, and if they truly feel like they have an equal opportunity where they're at. And I was in healthcare previously, in leadership as well there, and I found myself to be one of the few women in the circle at the board meetings, talking, and it can be intimidating. Absolutely. And one thing us women tend to do is, let's say there's a vacant position, and a woman will look at the qualifications for that position, determine for themselves, which they usually underdetermine that they're qualified for, and say, oh, I'm not qualified for this position. so they don't even apply for it. Whereas generally, and Kirk, you can tell me this, that generally a guy will say, I'll figure it out once I get there. And they go ahead and apply for the position. And so I think that's one of the things that holds women back in business is they feel like they have to be almost overqualified, especially in a leadership position, before they'll even attempt to apply for it. And through my experience in leadership, you only gain those skills as you continue to grow. And so you don't necessarily have everything in the beginning when you start a position, all the tools and resources, but we're quick to adapt. We definitely listen and apply the things that we're learning. And so there's no reason why a woman shouldn't be able to apply for something that they're not necessarily overly qualified for. And again, we tend to undercut ourselves a lot. And so, my message to women is you definitely are worth it. You're enough. I am sure you're qualified for that.
Yeah. But now I think you mentioned it actually really quick in the beginning. You mentioned something about helping people start businesses. What do you mean by that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have an opportunity for people that if they're looking for something part-time to supplement income or complete career change, helping them get into the financial services industry. It's actually the largest industry in financial services. They're $100 trillion industry. Next to real estate, which a lot of people think they'll go into real estate, especially in Colorado. It's a hot market right now, and so they go into real estate. Well, real estate being the next largest industry is 24 trillion. And next to that is retail, which is 22 trillion. And so take both of those industries combined, double it, and then some, and that's the size of financial services. And so we need help because overall the industry is shrinking. Again, most of the financial advisors currently are older and starting to go into their own retirement. And so I'm helping lead the next generation of advisors and business owners where people who want more control over their time, their money, their freedom, all of those things. And with financial services, it's such a great place for women because we have a lot of those softer skills and listening and understanding and empathy. And and I'm a very A-type personality, and Kirk, you know that. So when I say soft skills, I still very to the point, let's get the job done kind of personality. But within that area, I mean, my company's been #1 for women for the last 5 years. And when we look at the next biggest company as far as women, we're outpacing them as well. And shifting the way people look at financial services and how people interact with that, because that's ultimately what will change our economy is the better people understand money, but also I'm where I'm at because it's true equal opportunity. I'm not limited by who I know in the company to the corporate ladder, so to speak. So there's no glass ceilings. In my last position, I hit a glass ceiling by the time I was 27 years old. It's just getting started. Equal pay. It's dollar for dollar. If I help a family with the same exact thing that a man helps a family with, we're going to get compensated the very same amount. And as I would say, most women probably know that they're still making 78 cents to the dollar on average to a man. And millennial women actually are making a little bit more. I think they're like 82 cents to the dollar. So it's changing, it's evolving, and it's fantastic because our generations are saying, the older generations, the baby boomers are teaching the millennials and the ones younger that are saying, no, make sure that you don't get taken advantage. You are worth it. And so it's a great overall effort, I think, by women overall.
Which actually, as kind of the next thing that came to mind is actually just where you left off, which is the whole idea of of a glass ceiling, the whole idea of a career being, if you will, like merit driven. In other words, it's based on your hustle, based on your grind, based on your work, as opposed to based on someone else's opinion of you or perspective, or whether or not you're willing to play the game, or whatever it is, office politics and that kind of stuff, which I'm sure that probably, maybe you can never fully get away from some of that. But in terms of the way you describe, your career and the opportunities, it sounds like at least in that industry, and maybe something like you mentioned, real estate, maybe that's why those two are number one and two. Maybe it seems like, those can be more merit driven in terms of success and limits, if there are limits, and that sort of thing as well. So, to me, is that an accurate assessment that it is based on kind of your work and your hustle and your effort?
It is, and it's actually a combination of things. And I do feel like at some point, corporations will move towards that overall. You have a lot of people who kind of mail it in, don't do anything, and they're getting compensated the same as the person who is doing all the work. And so I think at some point that probably will be the new way of business. And, I think that's a good thing personally. If you've ever experienced it where you're doing all the work and the person next to you and maybe you are that person that is just mailing it in as well and not living up to your full potential, which I think is also just a disservice in general. But those glass ceilings, they still exist in the financial services industry pretty heavily outside of my company. So, not a plug for my company, but shameless plug. But, it's finding mentorship, finding other women who you can link arms with. Some other organizations, real estate as well, where it is driven in that capacity, it can create a lot of competition and unfair competition as well. And so I think one of the things that we have to be cautious of is when we are doing that, are we staying with integrity and uplifting people instead of trying to take from others, and knowing that there's an abundance out there. There's no need to fight over clients or anything like that. And if I teach you what I know, and if it's not enough, and introduce you to the person who can mentor you through that, everybody wins, everybody, because I'm ultimately probably going to learn something through that experience as well as that person who's learning. The client is definitely getting the care that they need. The company is making more money because the client's getting exactly what they need. And so it's that win-win situation. Instead of being so exclusive and elbows out, being more inclusive in that situation where it's, you eat what you kill situation, if you will. And then teaching others to do the same thing and building leaders. In my company, the more leadership I develop within my organization, the higher my income becomes, and the less work I actually have to do. So if I can help lift somebody else up. And think about industries, so real estate, for example, also used to be a male-dominated industry, and now we think it's different, or there's just not that many men who are real estate agents. Most of them, if you look at real estate or mortgages, most men fall into the mortgage side versus being a realtor. And not very long ago, real estate was all men, and so women took over that industry, and I think women are taking over the financial services industry as well.
Wow. You used a very poignant word a minute ago. You said uplifting. I think that was a great little Easter egg you put right in there for me. That being the case, and I ask this and I go this direction because I know you. Speaking of uplifting, I know your heart is in not only empowering people, but specifically in empowering women. You're not woman exclusive. You're actually having something targeted towards men next week, and planning on that. But in terms of empowerment, I do know that your heart is about empowering people and empower women. So right now, if I were to try to put myself in the position of let's say, a woman out there that thinks, corporate America, or just, out there, maybe somebody's thinking about a career change, or maybe, people are just kind of looking at the prospects of going in a new direction or starting a career or something like that. And, maybe they might feel a little bit pessimistic just about it's no hope, it's kind of hopeless in any opportunity to go out and to start a career and to be able to have success and that sort of stuff. Can you speak to the person that's hesitant about the opportunities for women in business and the opportunities for women in career and excel and achievement and that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I actually was very shy and introverted growing up, and
wow, that's a surprise.
now you now you would not know that, but part of my growth and development was I was frustrated. So if you're feeling frustration, feeling down on yourself, I believe it's because you're not being authentic with yourself, and you're not doing what your potential is. And so when you have those intimidations, I truly believe if you have the thought, the goal, the dream, it's yours. And so you have every right to go after it. If you didn't have the thought, then it wouldn't matter, but since you have it, it's yours. Everything starts with that. And so I would just say, I'd urge you to have 5 seconds of courage and take one physical action towards that goal, whether it's redoing your resume or calling a friend or whatever it is, telling them, hey, I want to apply for this position, or I'm thinking about a career change, and finding a mentor. I truly believe that in any kind of leadership or growth and development or change, having somebody there that can help you shepherd through that process. Change is not easy for most of us. It's not something that we're biologically driven for. Our brains are meant to survive, not to thrive. Our souls want to thrive and our hearts want to thrive, but our brain biologically wants to keep you as possible. And so, I think a lot of times when we hesitate, just remember it's not really you hesitating, it's your brain that's hardwired to run away from dinosaurs, So it takes some time to get over that, but that's where, having that 5 seconds of courage, take a deep breath, just, okay, let's do it. You will thank yourself over and over again. It'll choke me up a little bit, but when I'm writing out gratitude or thinking about, this week, especially being Thanksgiving, but I thank my past self for having the courage to make the change that I did. And, having that opportunity, following through with it, having the courage to chase my dreams has completely changed the trajectory of my life, my family's life, people I know, people I've encountered. Kirk, I know you can relate to that, is, the opportunity in front of us to help others achieve their greatest selves, and for us to become our greatest selves. It's an ongoing journey. And so I would encourage anybody who's thinking about it to absolutely pursue it. And worst case scenario, nothing changes, but you'll never not change. You'll grow through that experience. So even if you don't change careers or any of that, you'll still, I guess for me, I'm kind of the regret person. I'd rather say, oops, that didn't work out, darn, versus I never tried. And so to me, I just, again, encourage people to go for it. You're worth it. You deserve it. And, if you have that thought, or if you're miserable where you're at, you're the only one who can control your world. And that was for me when I made the transition from healthcare to financial services. Was my environment was never going to change. It hadn't changed for the 7 years that I was there. And in fact, it seemed like it was only getting worse, and it really wasn't getting worse. My attitude about it was. But I recognized nothing was going to change until I changed. And so I took a leap of faith. I toe dipped into the other side and barely got started part-time into a new career where I am now, and then eventually was able to transition full-time that way. But you know, you're the one who has to change any situation you're in.
Wow. So let's get down to the question, and let me just ask you, is there a place for women in the business world today?
Absolutely, absolutely, and beyond, and beyond. I think we're going to change how business looks.
Change how business looks in terms of the future, in terms of, I mean, what the environment looks like, or prospects, or
yep, and how business is done in the future, how we incorporate family with business, and how we have our relationships in business as well. I think being able to have more relationship, it ultimately makes more companies more profitable.
Wow. Wow. I appreciate you, AD. You are, I mean, that people, AD, I call you AD by your first two initials. But I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate who you are. You've been one of the pillars of my life, one of the cornerstones of friendship that I've had over the past several years, and I appreciate you deeply. I think you know that. This is not a revelation to you. And so I thank you for getting up crack of dawn, before dawn, Amber Dawn, and having this conversation. Let me ask you, how can people get a hold of you?
Yes, and I reciprocate all of that to you. Absolutely. Thank you and appreciate you and love you. And so to get a hold of me, best way, honestly, is to give me a call or send me a text message, 303-548-9066. That's probably the easiest way. If you Google Amber Schoenrock, I'm the first full page. So just click on something, send me a message, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm really not on Twitter though, so don't tweet me.
Awesome. And I'm gonna, and when I upload this on YouTube, I'm gonna have your contact info in the comment section of the YouTube video. And so I highly recommend. I mean, not only are you available to help to help women in terms of their finances, and to help people, women, men, families, etc., in terms of their finances, but also, like you said, I mean, to help people with a start over, to help people with career and business opportunities. And so I thank you for that. That being said, if you're watching this, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I do these uplift webinars every week, and I want to be a resource as well. I help pretty much guys. I don't really help too many women in terms of reconnecting with their connecting self. And you can look me up at Kirk M. Samuels as well, kirkmsamuels.com, all that stuff. I do Twitter. Anyhow, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you are and everything that you do. Again, thank you for being a mentor and an encourager and all those kinds of things. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And you have a great day. And until next time, we will see everyone